Good evening, dear faculty members and my dear students. On behalf of IIC SVC, we welcome you all for the seminar on can you change the next slide, sir? Yes. Seminar on developing online repository of startups develop, incubated develop, and way forward plan. So, behalf of IIC SVC, we welcome our professor, Dr. Sudhagar K. Bardhan, sir, professor and innovation ambassador of IIC SVC, Department of Electrical Electronics Engineering SVC, to deliver a lecture on this topic. Sir, please, sir, welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, good evening, one and all. So the topic given to me is on developing online repository of startups developed and or incubated, and the way forward plan. So before going into the topic, so online repository. So we know that to have a startup, so we need to have a clear plan of a clear executive plan, clear business plan, and to support that, we need to have the design thinking and innovation aspect of it. So our college, we have mission of our innovation center in our college. So we have three mission statements. One, training the students in 21st century skills like leadership, creativity, human-centered design thinking, critical thinking, and modern technologies, and providing mentorship to develop ideas and solve industry-related problems in various fields of engineering and technology. So we have various, since the audience is predominantly from the SVC fraternity, so I'd like to focus on the Center of Excellence what we have in our college. So we have Sustainable Smart Materials, Center for Excellence, Robotics, Industrial Automation, Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, and Nanotechnology. So these are the centers where we have sophisticated equipment, state-of-the-art facilities, where the facilities can be utilized by the students and faculty to develop solutions, various solutions for society and industry. And we have the last, which is amicable environment and fabrication tools to translate ideas into prototypes. So these are the mission statements of our innovation center at SVC. And as I said, the broader Center of Excellence, we have various centers which are supported by various government agencies and by the management of SVC. So we have Interdisciplinary Nano Research Center, sponsored by DST, FIST, DST SERB and AICT. We have Tribology Research Cell, sponsored by AICT, and various other related centers. I mean, the domains where we have the the expertise in. So as a student of SVC, so it's good to know that all the the facilities what we have, and then be useful for you to to pursue your dreams and in the innovation and incubation. So in addition to these centers, we have Entrepreneurship and Promotion Incubation Center EPIC, sponsored by DST, AICT, and MSME, where we have various students who are given seed money, and they are doing they are translating ideas into prototypes. So we have seed money given by the institution, and we have close to 10 ideas which are being funded by the management of SVC. And the experience of SVC, so as Sir pointed out, we have many ambassadors, innovation ambassadors in our college. who are trained in fundamental and advanced level uh, courses, and so these kind of uh, uh, what we call the expertise and the knowledge we would like to transfer to the students of SVC. So we have various projects we have carried out in our college with the help of students, faculty, and other stakeholders, and we have quite a bit of uh, funding, that has been received to the tune of 2 to 3 crores from the central and the state government agencies. And some of the top innovations would include Mr. Ratul. I think most of you know him. So he is a entrepreneur and alumnus of our college, and he is running a successful startup, right? The named Diffusion Coatec Private Limited, and yeah, it's been one of the success stories of our entrepreneurship journey in SVC. And so we have different levels of incubation. So the existing ecosystem in incubation. So what we are at, um, is like providing education at the bottom and providing training through various training courses, just like what we have right now today, and various business plan, student innovator competition. So we have also touched upon innovation and pre-incubation and prototype enterprising. So as I was telling Mr. Atul, so he has reached the pinnacle of this incubation ecosystem, where he has completed the prototype and then he is in enterprise right now. So for the students of SVC, so what we are giving is the education through value-added course, selectives, and entrepreneurship awareness camps. And also we give specialized training in innovation and incubation and entrepreneurship through various programs organized by IIC, SVC. So we have different types of engineering design where students can adapt, right? So they can take up a bottom-up approach, they can do a top-down approach. They can also do a problem-specific approach where they can take the problem statement from the industry or from the society, and then they can focus on it. So these are the three ways we can do the engineering design. So one is a bottom-up approach, student-driven. So a student, he should be able to get any kind of an idea which he would like to incubate or innovate, or it can be a mentor-driven. So as I was telling, we have different centers of excellence, right? So they will be what they can do is they can do hand-holding with these kind of centers of excellence, and then they can get a mentor, from these center of excellence, and they should be able to do a top-down approach or a mentor-driven approach, and they should be able to come up with innovation in this route. Or we can do a problem-specific approach where the investor, so if there is an investment which is required, and then there is an investor who is ready to fund this project, right? So they'll be able to, a student and the team of innovators, right? So they should be able to team up and then come up with this problem specific. They can adopt this problem specific approach and come up with a product. And as I was given this topic of online repository, so what do you mean by online repository? So by definition, a digital repository or online repository is an archive for the storage of digital components or objects or articles. So these archives, it can be moving or still images or galleries or manuscripts. So it can be prototypes as well. And we should be able to have digital archives such that as and when we create new ideas and then create new prototypes, right? So we should be able to make an archive, digital archive out of it, and then make a repository out of it. So it is done in an electronic form. It's a cloud-based system where there is no need for a physical storage, but rather we just need to have the storage of information that needs to be included into the database. So these online repository, right? So the stakeholders will be the students, and there can be budding entrepreneurs, faculty members of the organization, alumni, as well as the management. So they are the stakeholders of the for this online repository. And what would be an institutional repository? So again, by definition, institution
Slide
can
is,
create
sir, slide
Sir?
is slider. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it is moving.
Oh, okay. I wasn't. So far, it wasn't moving, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not moving. Now only. Now it's okay, sir.
Okay. So we have this design thinking. We have this centers of excellence, and yeah. So different types of innovations that has been carried out in SVC, and we have this incubation facilities which are available and provided by the management of SVC. So what is an institutional repository? So again, like we have a system called an ERP, which we are currently using. So online repository is something similar to an ERP for where we store the the digital assets, right? So the documents, the administrative documents, the CAT, the assignments, university exams, project thesis, dissertations, all these are stored in a cloud-based repository. So the institutional repository is like it's synonymous with the ERP system of our college, right? So where it's again an archive for collecting and preserving and disseminating digital copies of intellectual output of the college. So particularly in a research institution, we being a research institution and a teaching learning institution, right? So we would like to collect, preserve, and disseminate these kind of intellectual outputs, and then store it in a common place, where this can be retrieved at any time, at any given time. So this, our college is like a 32-year-old institution, so we would like to store, right? So whatever innovations, ideas which are being generated in the due course of of this a student's life or faculty life, and then the a different academic years, right? So we should be able to collect and preserve these kind of novel ideas, right? So these institution repository plays a major part, will be playing a major part in these kind of collection of data. So for an institution, right? So for an university, right? In the case of an university, so you'd be able to see electronic thesis nowadays. The times have changed, and people are having digital electronic thesis and dissertations which are being collected, right? So and everything is being digital now nowadays. Even the signatures are being given in digital signature, and then I think it is going to be a case where even SEC will be able to adopt. We need not print these kind of thesis and dissertations, right? So we should be able to have a cloud-based repository so that the thesis can be stored. These theses as well as dissertations can be stored in the online cloud database, right? So for the university, so we should be able to store these academic journal articles like preprints as well as the postprints. So when anybody or is submitting this journal articles to the journals, and then what kind of peer reviewing is going on, and then what date it is, it comes back for after review. So these kind of data as well as the date wise repository will be we should be able to store, and then you should be able to retrieve at any given instant of time. So in the case of an institution like we have, right, so we can also have as I said, administrative documents, course notes, right, so learning objects, conference proceedings, so all kind of activities which we do in our college, right, so should be able to store it. So let's say I have a course note which I'm taking right now, right, so after 5 years or 6 years I'd like to have retrieve it, right. So I need not have a local kind of a storage, but rather I could store it in the these kind of repository, which is open source. I mean, the beauty of this is it is open source, and it is students can access these kind of repository, all the stakeholders for that matter. So students, faculty members, alumni, management, so they can all access this repository at any given instant. So being an open source, right? So it is it has got major advantages. So it has got few disadvantages, but it would outplay, right, the number of advantages what we have. And you may have a question. I mean, what do we need to have a repository for ideas? Do we need to have a repository for startups, right? So let's say I have an idea. I would like to create a prototype, right? So should I, throw my idea into this database which is open to everyone? So is that a good idea? Is it a bad idea? So probably most of you would have apprehensions of not to disclose any kind of a novel idea, right? But the advantages here, right, so it creates a peer-to-peer discussion. So just to keep reading, and then there is a reason why you read something and then you write the exams, right? So you learn your subjects, and then you unlearn your subjects, whatever you studied in your semester, right? So you unlearn the exams, right? So what is the beauty of that is, while you unlearn all the topics, right, so whatever you studied in the semester, right, so that is the time, right, so where you will have a lasting kind of a memory, right? So just by learning, right, so you may not have a lasting memory. So only when you unlearn, right, so it creates a lasting memory. So likewise, when we have these ideas in a database, right, so it creates a peer discussion, and then where the stakeholders will have an access to these one, and then you will have a you have a group of like-minded, and then people with different categories, right, so different domains, where it could be of help to you, right, in creating this, transforming these ideas into prototypes, right? So it creates this peer discussion, which is very important. And also it creates an external evaluation, whether my idea is okay. I can have an idea, right? So for me it would be a a masterful idea, but for other people it may not be a masterful idea. It could be a masterful idea, but whether it is going to have the benefits, right, the financial benefits, the societal benefits, whether it is going to create these kind of benefits, right? So only through external evaluation, right, so you'll be able to gauge the ideas, right? And also we'll be able to expand these ideas when you have a repository, right? So open source. So how do we take it to the next level, right? So expanding these ideas, right? So that plays an important role, these open source repository. And also it is a mirror kind of a tool, right, for budding entrepreneurs. And it creates, the most important thing, it creates a networking with the investors, right? So even the stakeholders being the the investors being the stakeholders, right? So even the angel investors, if they are looking at novel ideas, right? So they will be able to access your ideas, and then these kind of networking will help in enhancing or funding the project, right? So these are the major advantages where we you know what we get from this, you know throwing our ideas into a open source, right? So you may I mean, I don't think you need to have any kind of an apprehension, right? So as I said, idea can be achieved, like many people can have the same idea, right? So at any given instant of time, right? So 100 people can get the same idea, right? So the way you implement it, the way you look at the problem, right? So through design thinking, right? So that creates this, this kind of what is the uniqueness of your kind of an idea, right? So keeping this in the open source, right? So I don't think 99% or 90% of you know uh, this effort, right? I don't think it is going to have a negative kind of an impact. And some of the online repository, right? So you may know National Digital Library of India, right? So this is an open source repository of manuscripts, thesis, dissertations, journals, um, in various domains, right? So for the school, for the engineering colleges, for arts and science, humanities, literature, law and management, right? So you have a huge repository created by and developed by IIT Kharagpur, right? So you should be able to, as you see, we have like 86.5 million resources which are available in this National Digital Library of India, and you should be able to access these, right? So this being an open source, right? So as as a student, as a faculty member, as a budding entrepreneur, right? So these kind of an online repository, right? So it helps academia, it helps the startup ecosystem in India, it helps the industries as well. So even the industries will have uh, questions or queries on how in different R&D domains, right? So even they will be able to access these kind of open source libraries. So this is one example of online repository for academia. Similarly, an online repository for startup, right? So I have an idea. Let's say I want to create a, let's say I want to create an app, right? So, and let's say I want to create an app for elderly people, right? So we have a lot of uh, homes, right? So where we have elder people who are staying alone, right? So I would like to create an app, and then how do I um, you know uh, do I have any kind of these startups in India or elsewhere? So how do I know that that these kind of an app is existing, right? So these kind of an online repository, right? So helps us find out or search, right? uh, the different kinds of startups which are being currently in India, and this is a tech saga which is recently being launched, right? So this is an online repository similar to the National Digital Library of India. So this is much more matured one, this National Digital Library. So more than 5 to 6 year old repository, but this is this is a nascent one which just started like only less than a year ago, right? So where they focus on different industries like Sagar, and they focus on these different technology domains, right? So be it Internet of Things, blockchain, A and ML, and computer vision, robotics, automation, material science, quantum computing, and so on and so forth, right? So hardware, semiconductor, right? So what are the different types of domains, startups which are available in India, and this kind of a repository, right? So we'll give an idea, a fair idea of who are all doing what kind of stuff, and what are the companies who work on this kind of a similar domain, what the idea you have. And also this also includes academia, right? So we'll have incubators in academia, R&D divisions in academia. So they're all registered in these kind of, if they are registered, right? So you'll be able to see what kind of work they do. And as I said, a startup, right? So these kind of an online repository, right? So we have, it is only a nascent kind of you know uh, platform, right? So where it requires the database, the whatever database which we have currently, right? So it is kind of small, right, compared to the in startup ecosystem in India, but it is an evolving kind of a system, right? So it is going to evolve, and then it is going to only increase, right? So as we know that we have so many social media users, right? So as we go, like every year, right, the social media users, right, be it Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, right? So it increases linearly every year, or sometime it exponentially increases, right? So with the help, with these increase in this social media, you know uh, breach of social media into our lives, right? So these kind of online repository, right, so will have a major impact, right? So where academia, industries will have, right? So even the industries, right, they try to evolve, right? So even a car manufacturer, right, so they would like to evolve, right? So even if you take an example of this Hyundai, right, so they have started manufacturing this uh, electric vehicle and hybrid vehicle, right? And in India we have started, right? So I think in 2015 or before 2015, right, we did not have we were not the top manufacturers of mobile phones, right? And we are not top manufacturers of the PC systems, the personal computers, right? But nowadays what we have is we are the second largest manufacturers of mobile phones. So even though we are assembling these mobile phones, but we are the second biggest manufacturers of mobile phones. And also we have this PCs, right? So we have in Chennai we have a company called Flex, right? So you would be seeing, right? So we have the Sipcot and Iringatakot and Sriperumbudur. So we have this company called Flex, right? So they manufacture these PCs. We have the HP laptops, right? So which are being manufactured in Sriperumbudur. So these kind of new kind of ventures in India, and what are the developments in manufacturing, in startups, right? So everyone should know, right? So if these kind of informations are available in open source, right, so this will only enhance, right, so the economy and increase the GDP of our country. So highlights of Startup India. I mean, we have a very robust kind of a policy of Startup India. We also have a policy for startup in Tamil Nadu, right? So highlights of some of the highlights of Startup India, right? So it gives a self certification. It gives a certification, right? Registration, from the registration, and all kinds of certifications. It can be given, or can be obtained, right? So through the Startup India scheme, right? And easy registration, and we have a patent protection, and the Startup India movement, right? So a scheme, right? So it is going to you know reach a corpus fund of 10,000 crore, right, to support startup innovations, novel ideas in India. And it has also got a national credit guarantee scheme, and no capital gain tax, right? So no income tax for 3 years, tax exemption for investors who do, you know, the scale of investment is very high, right? So, different tax exemptions are there available. And then building, entrepreneurs. And we have Atal Innovation Mission, right? So Atal Innovation Mission talks about, you know, incubators, right? So even SVC applied for a Atal Innovation Mission for the last 2-3 years, right? So creating an incubator for our students, right? So this is an innovation mission by Niti Aayog, and start setting up incubators in these, in various academic institutions, research parks. The most famous one is IIT Madras Research Park, right? And dedicated programs in schools, right? So we have various school, even the school students have started to innovate, right? The Atal Innovation Mission, they have this unique kind of uh, program, right, where they fund about 10 lakhs, for the school kids, right? It's called Atal Tinkering Lab, right? So even in Chennai, we have quite a bit of schools who has got Atal Tinkering Labs, right? So supporting the innovators in schools, the school kids, right? And it's got legal support, right? This gives a legal support. This gives all kinds of rebates, right? And easy rules, and also faster exit, right? So I would not say, all the novel ideas, right, can be transformed into a successful startup, right? So the success rate, right? So even though it is very very small, right, I would not say that, the success rate is about 10%. I would say, that is true for any kind of a startup, right? So any kind of a startup, there could be innovators inside a bigger firm, right? So take an example of Facebook, right? Take an example of WhatsApp, right? So there will be different groups who will be working inside Facebook, inside WhatsApp, right? So if you take a Facebook, right, we have hundreds and thousands of groups who will be working parallelly on different domains. Okay, not all the 1,000 or 100, these kind of projects succeed, right? So only few succeed. Take an example of Chrome, right? Google, even in Google, right? So we have many kind of different this thing which came up, right? So take Google Chrome. It's very successful. Okay, or take an example of Google Hangout. Hangout is very, it wasn't as successful, right? So just like similar to even Google, fail, even Facebook fail, right? So this kind of a 10% of success rate, right? That should not demean the, you know uh, uh, the thought process, right? So whether we would like to succeed, so don't have an intention, right? If I have need to have a if you have a startup, right, I need to success at any cost. So that kind of mindset, right? So you should not have. So what is required is open-mindedness and prepare to fail, right? So if you prepare to fail, and then these kind of failures, right, it's going to teach us, right? Yeah, and take us through the, you know to the right direction, and then have us succeed. So yeah, this is about it. And then because of time constraint, and yeah, this is, as I said, it is in a nascent kind of a stage. And what, as an institution, right, we're planning to have this kind of a repository, an open source repository, where people can you know uh, throw in the ideas, and then we'll be able to you know uh, look back and then innovate, right? So if I have an idea, right, so right now, and then I would like to, and I don't have the funds, I don't have the manpower, I don't have the facility to carry out. And let's say after 5 to 6 years, right, I have the facility, I have the funding, right? What I can do is I can take it up, and then from the repository, and then I'll be able to, I might succeed, right? So that this is the kind of ecosystem which these online repository, right, it brings out, right? So have a look at all this online repository, and then so you'll be able to look at what are the different startups, what are the different ideas, what are the different successful entrepreneurs, who are the investors. I mean, what are the what kind of business plan, right? So these kind of repository, right? So we'll also give the we'll also have the blogs, we'll also have the white papers of these business plans, right? So these business plans can be a stepping stone, or these can be a of help, right? So for your kind of enterprise, right? So yeah, I think with that I'll conclude this presentation. So if you have any questions, right? I'm ready.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. In addition with this, I would like to add that the Yukti startup repository, sir. Once that the student or existing startups or the student going to submit the ideas,
Right.
we have in our Ministry of Education Innovation, sir, we have online IFTI or National Innovation Repository, sir.
Okay, sir.
So in this one, the student is registered as a team leader. There is a two options. That is, one is IFTI idea and IFTI existing startup. So based on the TR level, that is that is the research readiness level, the Ministry of Education Innovation funding is provided, sir.
Okay.
So if it is a new at TRL 1 and 2, based on this, through Innovation Challenge, they are giving the fund. And so they, like the depository, they are also creating, sir. Ministry of
Nice,
Education
sir.
Innovation.
Very good, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
any dear students, any other questions? Any questions? Thank you, sir. Behalf of IAC SVC Chennai, within a short period, your acceptance accept our request. And thanks, behalf of IAC, we're thankful for your wonderful presentation on this repository of the startups and the way forward plan. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for inviting.
Thank you. Students, now I will open that acceptance. You can fill the Google form. Just a minute, I opened. Now you can fill that Google form. So we will provide the certificates, okay, after 10 days through your department IAC coordinator. You just enter the your name, other account details, please. It is working. Anyone? Please reply. Okay, good, Nega. Please fill that form. No need to worry about the certificates. We will take care. After 10 days, we will provide. Madam also intimated, Rupa Kasav Madam, I will take care.